everyone, my name's Amy. I'm an English language teacher from the UK. I have been teaching English now for around 8 years. I started teaching in Vietnam and I've been teaching in the UK and online. And I just want to show you what a speaking class with me online looks like. So here goes. This is what it would be like if you book a class with me. I hope you learn a lot today, and I hope this helps you. A really good way to improve your English is to do a lot of reading and to read articles. I absolutely love reading articles. They introduce new vocabulary. If you're working with a teacher, you can improve your pronunciation as well. And also, it gets you thinking about topics that you don't really think about. So it can expand your brain. You can use your English language in different ways. So that's why I love to focus on articles. You are the student, I am the teacher, and let's learn today. So let's have a look at an article today. I am using Ingu today. I absolutely love Ingu. This video is not sponsored by Ingu, but Ingu is a fantastic website to use for teachers and for learners as well. What I love about Ingu is you can do this. You can choose your level. So, for example, let's say you are okay, we've got intermediate, advanced, and proficient. So look, we've got level 6 would be intermediate, maybe B2 level. Level 7 would be B2 plus, maybe C1. And 8 would obviously be C1, and C2 would definitely be proficient. Also on Ingu, what's really helpful is they have different themes. So here you can see we have business and politics, science and technology, health and lifestyle. Ooh. Culture and society. I love a bit of culture, so let's choose culture today. Which one is very interesting? I think I'm going to do a. Let's challenge ourselves today. Let's do an advanced level 7. Okay, people often follow strangers in crowds. Let's see. Okay, so if you were in my class, we would definitely start with the vocabulary. So let's read this together. Trot. Of a four-legged animal. To move at a speed that is faster than a walk. Example, the baby pigs trotted in a line behind their mother. Capture. To accurately record in words, film, etc. The surveillance camera captured footage of the burglars as they fled the scene. Analyze. To study or examine something in detail. Of the 13 countries analysed, South Korea was found to be the most expensive place to raise a child. Algorithm. A set of instructions or rules followed in a calculation or problem-solving process, especially by a computer. The app uses algorithms to target ads based on your search history. Identify. To find out or know who or what someone or something is. Police are trying to identify two men believed to be involved in the robbery. Interaction. The act of communicating or being involved with someone or something. All of my interactions with him have been very positive so far. Did you know these words? Let's continue. Let's move on to the article. Usually, what I would make you do is maybe practice the words that you don't know and use them in a sentence. just to get you remembering the words. But anyway, let's move on to exercise two, which is the article. Normally, I get the student to read the article and then I can correct their pronunciation. I then read the article, so when they're watching the lesson again, they can listen to my pronunciation and mimic that. They can practice their pronunciation through my speech. Okay, let's do this. There's also an AI feature on Ingu, which is very helpful, although I do believe that it's always good to use a human voice as well. Okay, people often follow strangers in crowds. Study. Don't be a sheep, people sometimes say. This means don't blindly follow others. Sheep tend to trot after a leader, following rather than planning their own paths. Humans aren't like that, or are we? According to a new study of train passengers, humans tend to follow the person in front of them when they're leaving a station. Yes, just like sheep. Researchers in Europe looked at the choices that tens of millions of people made when exiting a busy train station in the Netherlands. People's movements were captured and analysed during a 3-year period between 2021 and 2024. In large train stations, there are often multiple exits that people can use. People usually want to get out of the station as efficiently as possible, so choosing a certain exit might help them to achieve this. The study looked at people leaving a train from 3 different sets of doors. These people had had a choice of 2 routes out of the station. One was short and direct, and the other was a little longer. The researchers also developed an algorithm that looked at things like walking speed and how close people were to each other. This helped them identify people who were part of the same group. These social groups were then removed from the study so the researchers could focus on the movements of individual pedestrians. The results showed that these people tended to follow the same path as the person directly in front of them, even if this meant they were taking a less efficient route out of the station. The research team said that their findings show that even small interactions between strangers can affect the way large crowds move. This research could help experts manage crowds better, design cities more effectively, and understand more about how people behave in public. Also, at this point, I would usually ask you, is there anything you don't understand? Are there any new phrases that you have heard in the article? Is there any more questions about the article? I want you to fully understand the article. Maybe you need time reading it. No problem. I'm very patient. I love the discussion questions because they really make you think deeper about your reading. And also, you can really understand what you've been reading. You surprise yourself with your opinions and views, and it just gives you a different way to, an opportunity to express yourself. Number one, what are your thoughts on the study's findings? Well, I think it's quite interesting because sometimes we think that we're completely independent and we're not affected by anyone and we think for ourselves, but actually we have more of a crowd mentality than we think. I think instinctively go with the crowd, right? If people may be going the wrong way, but we still sometimes don't want to stand out, possibly. What do you think about this? I think it's quite interesting that we follow the person directly in front of us, like it said here. People tended to follow the same path as the person directly in front of them. I think this is quite interesting because it does show, because it's so interesting. There's some ways I feel like we are not trusting ourselves in society anymore, but we trust the stranger in front of us on a train. So it's quite interesting that even we don't know anything about this person, we trust them in these situations. I wonder why. Have you ever come out of the wrong exit at a busy train station? Absolutely. Sometimes, quite often. I'm not great with directions. I'm a little bit directionally challenged, perhaps. But yes, I've done that before, and I've definitely probably followed people to the wrong exit. And sometimes I want to keep it moving, so I just continue, even though I don't want to look like, oh, I don't know where I'm going. So sometimes I do just walk confidently out of the wrong exit and then have to find my way around. What are some of the busiest places you pass through day to day? Well, I am actually at my parents' house at the moment, and I would say it's definitely not very busy around here. They live in the countryside. So the busiest place would have to be the supermarket. And sometimes with the trolleys, you're weaving you have to queue sometimes. Number four, do you mind being in big crowds or very busy public places? I don't. Sometimes it can be very stressful, but I am quite used to big crowds now. I think I lived in London, I lived in Ho Chi Minh City, very busy cities, and I am, unless I really need to go to the toilet or I'm really hungry, then it's not a big deal for me. Do you know anyone who doesn't like being in crowds? Yes, definitely. My dad really hates being in crowds. He has lived in the countryside his whole life, so he's never had that experience of living in a city or being around lots of people. And when we're at the airport and we're trying to catch a busy flight, he does not like it. So, yes, that he's definitely someone that I can say does not like being in crowds. Oh, I also love these questions. They are further discussion questions and also really good if you just want to get more creative with your English and develop your speaking further. When was the last time you got lost? I get lost all the time because I don't know where I'm going most of the time. Yes, I got lost a couple of weeks ago. I was actually trying to find a hotel that I was going to, but it was just so complicated. And you do have Google Maps, but I think I was, looking at the Google Maps, like, is it this way? Oh no, I've just gone down the wrong road. Oh no, I need to change my, yeah, I felt a little bit frustrating. So I did get a little bit lost whilst I was looking for my hotel. Number two, do you generally have a good sense of direction? No, no, I don't have a good sense of direction. I are those people who I just like to walk through life and experience life. I'm not so aware of my surroundings all the time, which can be a bad thing. Can be a good thing because I'm just, look at that. Oh my God. Oh, do I know where I am? No. Okay. Have you been to any cities that were confusing to navigate? That means to things, to navigate, to search for things. Yes, to be honest, in the UK, we have such old cities, so it's very complicated sometimes to find the right street. I remember when I was in America, it was a lot easier to out to the city because oh, street 52nd, street 53rd, you can find that street because that will be close to 51st, whereas in England you have Tree Avenue and Rose, and it's so confusing. And some of the roads are really old and narrow and confusing. And yeah, so I think it's very easy to get lost in the UK. Oh, do you imagine visitors often get lost in your own town or city? I don't think so. I'm from a very small town. I don't think it's very easy to get lost. But again, you could go down a very old road and it could be quite confusing. There's a few one-way systems in my town, which could be confusing for people. Number five, do you know anyone with a terrible sense of direction? Me. Terrible sense of direction. Yeah, it's been bad. Yeah. But you know what? I have to own it. I, when you're traveling with me, don't rely on me, rely on somebody else. Yes, I do have a terrible sense of direction, but I think because I find things, sometimes I can be quite overwhelmed by things, and I think sometimes looking for like the right street is, a little confusing. However, when I have to do it, I will do it. I will find my way. Don't you worry. Look, I survived 30 years of life, so I think I can hopefully find where I'm going eventually. Might take me a while, but I do get there eventually. So that was an example of one of my article classes and generally what I would do with my student. I really hope you enjoyed the class today and you found it a little bit interesting. I do lots of speaking classes with students on Zoom. If you are interested in my classes, the link is in my bio. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram and TikTok, and please subscribe to me on YouTube. Thank you so much, everyone. Bye. Bye bye.